Finding problems? That's easy. They exist in every community. I'm Terry Springs, your host. We're looking deeper, and we are talking solutions, finding out how we all can make a difference. It was in the news again this week. Nevada ranking 50th when it comes to education. Not a statistic to be proud of, but we do have some schools that are doing amazing work. Faith Lutheran's one. We invited Eric Ball, Director of Theatrical Arts. We'll talk to him in a bit, and right now we're starting out with Dr. Steve Book, the CEO of Faith Lutheran. Can you share some stats?
Today we're blessed to be the largest private school in the state of Nevada, believe it or not, with 1,562 students.
I do hear a lot ongoing about Faith Lutheran. You guys have really made a name for yourself.
Yeah, we need to. Our board has set a very challenging vision statement for us, which is to be the standard of excellence for Christian schools. And so that's not just here in Las Vegas. That's not just in the state of Nevada. That's not just in the United States. That's really worldwide. And so there's this ongoing effort for us to ask ourselves the question, what can we do better tomorrow than we did today? We're blessed to have 165 adults who come to work with their A game every day trying to answer that question and making us a better place so that we're a better place for kids.
Are there some special areas that you also excel in or emphasize?
I think we do a lot of things well. I'll certainly let Eric speak to the arts because we're very, very proud to really focus on the arts. And yet we've won 6 athletic state championships in the last year. 99% of our kids go to college. They're getting into the nation's best schools. In just the last 3 years, we've had kids accepted into universities in all 50 states, 423 different colleges and universities. And we want to do academics well. We certainly are a Christian school, obviously. We don't apologize for that. We're proud that we have 30 to 35 baptisms every year in our chapels. And so that really helps us attain our mission. But our high school principal, Scott Fogo, I really have to give him a lot of credit for coming up with this idea about 2 years ago of let's start some academies and or some conservatories. And so we have currently 4 academies. We have a Film and Broadcasting Academy. We have a Business Leadership Entrepreneurship Academy. We have Justice and Advocacy, a pre-law, and I can talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then we have STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. And now this year, and again, Eric can speak more intelligently about this, we're kind of beta testing a Fine Arts Conservatory, which will launch full speed ahead this August. And so I go back to the Justice and Advocacy Academy only to say that just 2 weeks ago, we broke ground for not only 6 new classrooms, but in one of those classrooms is a full-blown courtroom. You're going to walk in through 2 double-door oak doors and see a judge's bench and a jury seating area and where the 2 attorneys will sit and the bar and the whole 9 yards. And so we're really going to launch that as part of this Justice and Advocacy Academy to give our kids a leg up of some real-life courtroom experience. And they compete in mock trial, which is a state competition. They're used to what it's like to kind of move around the auspices of a very real courtroom.
We're talking about middle school and high school classes with Faith Lutheran.
We take in 266 graders every year, and the huge majority of those kids ripple through to 12th grade. Although we always have new kids. As you know, Las Vegas is a very transient valley, and we have kids moving in and out all the time. And so we certainly accept kids into every grade level. Seniors, the only way we would accept a senior into our schools, if they're moving from out of town. Obviously, we wouldn't allow a transfer because then they've only gone to school for 1 year, and to get our diploma, there's no college or university in America that lets you go there just your senior year and get their diploma. And so we pretty much follow that same standard unless they're moving in from out of state.
Middle school and high school, and then you have these different areas of emphasis. STEM, you've got things that are related to the law. We're going to talk about the conservatory with Eric here in just a couple of minutes. Academics, your athletic programs, which sound like they've also been quite successful. When these young middle school kids are starting to filter in, how do you gauge where their interests lie and where to guide them? Do you do that through counseling?
Well, the academies that I discussed are specifically for high school students. We do have some pre-STEM course offerings for middle school kids. Obviously, the arts are available in every component, from orchestra to 3D to 2D to theatrical arts to backstage to handbells to choirs. All of those things are available to middle school kids, of course. So I think them just starting to dabble in it as middle school students, kind of, as you said, it kind of sparks something internal for them. And yes, our counselors, of course, are available to help make sure they get into those classes where they feel a passion for a certain interest in it. It's a beautiful thing that kind of for 7 years they can give some time to kind of see what path they want to take. And obviously our film and broadcasting kids want to replace you someday, and so
well, I'm not trying to hurry out of here. But...
no, you got a lot of years, which is awesome.
If I may chime in for a second, that's kind of the beauty of Faith Lutheran, is that we do have the middle school and high school on the same campus. And so, like, for instance, in the middle school, we have explorer classes where they can take for a quarter choir, then a quarter of band, and then a quarter of dance, and a quarter of visual arts. And then they can kind of explore what interests they may have in those kind of introductory kind of gateway programs. From a theatrical perspective, we have a summer theater camp that is offered for the 6th grade through the 12th grade, and we put them in groups together. So it allows for some wonderful mentoring opportunities as well. And I think that that's kind of why we're proud to produce some of tomorrow's leaders, is because they have these opportunities to lead at Faith Lutheran as well. So it's really a unique experience all the way around.
Eric Ball is the Director of Theatrical Arts at Faith Lutheran. Living in a city like Las Vegas, which is one of a kind, and we have so much entertainment specifically on the Strip, big shows. Maybe that's so blinding to a lot of people that they don't realize the depth of entertainment and quality off the Strip. This is our community. There's a lot of options out there. The Faith Lutheran Conservatory coming online, it sounds like, Eric, that you were involved with, and that the school overall, Dr. Buch also, as far as the components, the fine arts areas that make up the conservatory, you guys have actually been doing things along this line for a long time. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. This is a long time coming. I'm very thrilled that, like Dr. Buch said, Mr. Fogo offered the notion of actually putting it under a conservatory brand. I think that does several things in favor of our efforts. I think it kind of shines light on our efforts a little bit more from a college perspective post-high school, as kids look to gain future opportunities and apply to colleges and get their name out there. The subjective nature of theater, you can say you have a theater program, you can say that you do productions, you can say that you have a visual arts program and you display original pieces in a gallery setting. You can say that you offer a dance program with multifaceted programs, but putting it under a conservatory brand, it's kind of putting us out on the line there. It's kind of saying, listen, we believe in this. This is something that's more important than just the product. You said something earlier about community. That's what it's all about. It's very important that they understand that it's a collaborative effort in every way, and that leadership element to the collaborative effort is what we're hoping to provide for them in the conservatory setting. They're going to be majoring. They're going to major in theater or dance or vocal arts or instrumental arts and so on. And that kind of course pattern that they lay out, that the counselors and the Dean of Fine Arts lays out for the student individual, they are going to follow that course until their senior year. And that ultimately helps strengthen self-discipline. As an artist of any kind, self-discipline is the one area that I would be concerned about in any other setting, in other high school settings, because you're absolutely right when you say that the arts is kind of a diminishing idea. There's that joke that the arts are the first to go, or that's the first thing cut from a school program. I think that not only taking it seriously under the brand of a conservatory, it's basically putting our money where our mouth is and saying, look, we believe in this so much that we're going to create a structured plan for the individual who wants to maybe make a career in fine arts outside of high school to follow a course pattern with the support needed to create a self-discipline that will make them a future leader. And I think that that's the most important thing that a conservatory can offer. Not big grandiose shows, not wonderful dance classes, not beautiful, brilliant pieces of art. There are students all across the valley that do that every single day. More importantly is that we provide a structured opportunity for success beyond high school.
Kids, especially in high school, that age is so difficult to start with. Just the changes that your body and your mind are going through as part of growing. But also the fact a lot of people who are interested and involved in fine arts disciplines don't feel like they belong. And I think during those teen years, when it's already treacherous and dangerous for them to take that path, to go ahead and emphasize these unusual areas that maybe everybody doesn't feel that. They don't get that. But in the heart of a creative individual, it's what they've got to do. And it sounds like the conservatory gives these very fragile teen egos and individuals a place to blossom and follow their passions.
Are you saying we're sensitive? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I like sensitivity. This is a good thing.
It's very important that students feel that they belong. And how better to belong than to be able to find a means by which to work with one another and create something new and original for somebody else, something outside of yourself. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in who won what Oscar and who won what Grammy and who stormed the stage, that we forget that fine arts is not supposed to be about ego. It's not supposed to be about the individual. It's the individual's creative spirit working in collaboration with others, working in collaboration with a supportive foundation like the faculty that's there to help motivate and fuel them. It's that type of effort that's the most important. I think the reason why Faith Lutheran is the exception, not just the alternative to other schools, other private schools, is that we keep God in the forefront of everything. We make sure that we understand that this is a Christ-centered environment, that this is very important. And for the believer and non-believer student, it's very important to have that understanding that you're doing something not for you. You're doing something for somebody else. You've been given these gifts for a reason. And what are you going to do with these gifts now? You can do it all for yourself to gain money, gain fame, or you can do it for somebody else. When you release that, when you do it for some other person, I always say at the very beginning of every show we have prayer, and I always say, let us use our gifts that God gave us to glorify Him. Once we release that, it's such a freedom, you know what I mean? You can move forward with such a reckless creative ambition and abandon. You can just really kind of create with every fiber of your being, and it's wonderful. I think that's why it's important that we continue to offer secular works at Faith Lutheran, like Shrek and Legally Blonde, and we have Pippin the musical coming up in May, and I hope everybody gets tickets to that. I think it's part of my job as the theater director to help encourage the students to find God in the work. When they leave Faith Lutheran, they're going to be in different avenues of life. They're going to not necessarily, every avenue is going to be a soft place to fall per se, like Faith Lutheran is, and I want very desperately for these students in the creative fields to go forward knowing that the art of theater or the art of dance, instrumental music, vocal music, visual arts, it's the self-discipline to determine what your own boundaries are, to determine what your own insight and your own beliefs are, and how does that structure your creative path. That sort of fundamental skill set structuring at this secondary level is just so important. And to be a part of it, especially being a pioneer for the consumer, my gosh, I'm thrilled. You can only imagine the wheels that are turning in my head about the next upcoming years. It's going to be fantastic.
Big changes this year. You hear us mentioning Faith Lutheran. That's what we're talking about right now on Talking Solutions. You've been hearing from Eric Ball, who is the Director of Theatrical Arts, and Dr. Steve Book, who is the CEO of Faith Lutheran. You've had fine arts type classes all along, but this is a big change. This is something that is expanding and blossoming under our feet.
Ooh, the key word expanding. What a wonderful segue. It's so true. A conservatory offers a wonderful chance for us to grow not only within the school and in the curriculums and the extracurricular activities that we provide, but also in the community. We want the community to know about these students in this program so that they can be a part of it. Maybe there's a potential future Faith Lutheran student out there who's attended an event or who has seen the growth in the programs who wants to be a part of that down the road. That's wonderful. We hope so. Fine arts in general, it's just one half of the equation, the students and the artists. The other half is the audience. We want them to be a part of Faith Lutheran in that regard. So we hope they come see the theatrical events, the choir and band concerts that we have. The Christmas concert every year is phenomenal. We have this event coming up on March 20th, expanding the arts, and it's called Suddenly Sondheim. We're basing it around the works of the master composer and lyricist Stephen Sondheim. We've done things in the past collaboratively together, but this is the first time I can recall in the 12 years I've worked there that every fine arts program has sat down and concertedly worked with one another to collaborate and create something that is all fine arts disciplines put together as one on stage for one event. And it is a fundraising event. We ask people to consider getting tickets for it. They're $50 a piece and can be purchased on www.faiththeatercompany.com. By doing that, we're hoping that the individual ticket sales will kind of like divide and conquer and make this effort of fundraising for the inaugural conservatory school year be less ponderous. We hope and instead just offer them a wonderful opportunity to be entertained in this truly collaborative evening of theater, song, dance, and merriment. We have a guest of honor, Lance Burton, master magician. He's going to stop by and wave his magic wand over the building and certainly start us off right. But we hope everybody will consider joining us on March 20th for Expanding the Arts.
Did I also see something about tryouts? Do we have auditions?
Yes. What I highly encourage people to do if they're interested in the conservatory, if they're listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, this may be something that I want more information about. This is something that I really need to. I have a 6th, 7th, 8th grader that's going to be looking at their high school careers here very, very soon. I need more information. The best way to do that is to contact our Dean of Fine Arts, who happens to be my wife, Emily Ball. You can go to the Faith website, faithlutheranlv.org, or attend the event. We certainly have hard copy literature just littering the place. Of course, if you want more information, you can get it from there. But I think that we have 2 auditions a year. We have one in January, one in March for prospective students. And that's for students that currently are enrolled in Faith Lutheran and those that aren't. The first round of auditions in January, we welcomed 2 students that were from different schools that have attended shows and are very interested in becoming theater majors. And we have our second round coming up here in March. Again, those have to be scheduled, so I would recommend contacting the school directly if anyone's interested.
Think of all the different opportunities that we have here in town. And when we talked earlier about the fact that it seems like in a general school district, like Clark County School District, they are subject to the same budgetary problems like anyone else. And it seems like the fine arts programs are the first to be thrown out the window when there are budget problems, budget issues. But it's such an important part of life. The conservatory, this is going to be huge. This is a big emphasis area.
Well, for me, it was kind of a natural thing to add at our school for a whole host of reasons. Number one, we have very gifted adults in all of those arts areas, so that was natural. We have fantastic facilities. Las Vegas is a cultural town. We have the best entertainment of the world here, and we have kids who aspire to do that or to get just 4 hours to the west of us into Hollywood, of course. I think an educated society needs to have the arts in it, and we certainly don't apologize for that at Faith. And then, candidly, I think the scriptures are filled with the arts. You see dance and music throughout. And God, as Eric said, gifted people very uniquely with skills that I don't have, by the way. And so I get to enjoy these talented adults and talented kids who come together to produce such awesome art. And so really it fits right in with the mission of our school, and it's going to be there for a long time.
You get to celebrate their gifts and enjoy helping to guide them and mentor them and see them really excel.
Well, and only a certain small percentage of students go on to, say, Broadway or go on to star in movies or go into, so it's not necessarily, we're not trying to create a machine that's going to generate cookie-cutter Broadway actors and actresses. It's not like that so much. I always joke with my students and say that we're all of us actors, all of us. Behind closed doors in a very important meeting, you're going to don a different mask. If you get pulled over by a police officer because you just were going a little too fast, you're going to put on a different mask. We're all of us actors. How we relate, how we work together positively and collaboratively together, that sort of discipline is hard in this technology-based face in our phones. How do I find the answer to this question out? Well, let's Google it. Society we live in. I like to think that theater and dance and visual arts and choir and band and this kind of relationship with this art that's outside of oneself is more important because it reconnects us with what it is to be a human being, what it is to understand humanity and how to relate with one another, how to remember what it is to direct emotion in a certain positive way. And I think that sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in getting A+ across the board on our report card. But it's so important that fine arts exists, not just because we can do wonderful shows and produce wonderful gifted musicians and artists, but more so that we can produce wonderful and gifted people. And I think that sometimes being the subjective nature of arts in general, sometimes people forget that. They see the end product. They don't get to see the behind the closed doors stuff that we teachers do. Trust me, it's the journey to that opening night that's the most rewarding of anything. They get to sit and enjoy the show, and we hope they do every single time. But it's that struggle, that kind of teeth and claws struggle of the collaborative creative approach that's so very important. And I'm very proud to say that the administration has really taken note to the fact that this is a demand that needs to be fulfilled, and they've gotten behind it 100%. And we're going to open our doors wide and see who wants to join.
The rich part of life.
Oh, yeah.
It's the joy of the journey.
Yeah.
It's passion for the arts, passion for performing and sharing your gifts with others.
Yes.
What a great thing to be able to work with kids on.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to work with kids, work with them in the arts, for crying out loud. I mean, that's just my opinion, of course. I'm sure they're wonderful elsewhere. But I'd much rather work with them in the arts, though. Get paint out of their fingernails.
Just the stats that I'm hearing also, Dr. Steve Book, the CEO of Faith Lutheran, 99% of your kids who come through the school go to college.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What I love about Faith right now is we have kids from what I call an eye-popping 61 zip codes who drive to our school every single day. And so we have become a school for the entire valley. And we know there's wonderfully talented kids, and we are happy to open our doors to those kids.
I've heard the phrase magnet school. It's a different word, but if you've got kids coming from 61 zip codes to your campus at Faith Lutheran just because you're such a special place, that's a different kind of magnet. They're being drawn to you because of all the things that you offer.
We really spend a lot of time talking about the Faith family. When you get here, we're going to love you like our own kids. And moms and dads and brothers and sisters aren't always going to get along perfectly, but doggone it, at the end of the day, we're family, and that's really what bonds us together.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, they revisited the mission statement of the school. Everyone prepared, everyone saved. And prepared and saved are always the two words in that 4-word mission statement that people seem to look at. But I always tend to gravitate towards the 2 words, everyone. And that's truly, I would say, reflective more than anything else at Faith Lutheran. Everyone that attends the school, everyone that's a part of the worship team there, everybody that's a part of Faith Lutheran is the focus. We want to make sure that everyone has unique and flourishing opportunities for them to succeed. We work with them because everyone's different. Everyone has a different approach to things. Not everyone's a straight A student. People struggled. For crying out loud, when I was in high school, I remember that I was a very different type of student. I promised myself that every day that I walk into my classroom that I would keep that in mind as I approach the difficulties that these students, the backgrounds, the home lives, the crazy world that they come from every day. We want to make sure that these students have a unique opportunity so that everyone is prepared and everyone is saved. Everyone. There's many reasons Faith Lutheran is different than any other alternative school that you might consider for your student, but I think that's probably the number one reason.
Making everyone part of this learning process, part of this family with Faith Lutheran. You know, we're already dealing with kids at a very treacherous age. They're having a tough time just making it through those years. And how everyone, as you say, is very different in their interests, in their abilities, in their way of learning, to concentrate on each individual kid. This is the time where we hear about all the problems that exist in traditional schools. We hear so much about the extra challenges that kids deal with, issues like bullying and not being seen as individuals. And because of that, so many kids these days seem to fall through the cracks.
I haven't been in the classrooms in the public school system, so I don't necessarily have a basis for comparison. But I do know the numbers. Everybody knows the hard facts, which are the numbers and the demands that the school districts need. And I often wonder, I have to tell myself, I have to reel myself back sometimes, because when you do a grandiose production like White Christmas, which has 50 cast members and 38 tech crew members, it's a lot of students to wrangle on a daily basis. I often wonder, how often do schools resort to wrangling cats, versus worrying about the individual student's success? It's never going to be a perfect system. But I think why I will always love Faith Lutheran is because they conscientiously try to focus on that. The students' benefits are really at the forefront of every decision-making process at Faith Lutheran.
Our opportunity to be involved with Faith Lutheran Conservatory for the Fine Arts is to perhaps buy tickets to the Stephen Sondheim production that you have coming
Expanding the
up.
Arts, suddenly Sondheim. You can get your tickets at faiththeatercompany.com. You can also go to the Faith Lutheran website, faithlutheranlv.org. There's information there as well. The tickets are $50 a piece. Every single penny of that ticket price will go towards next year's inaugural Conservatory of the Fine Arts, so you will be a pioneer with us.
And we've got auditions also coming up.
Yes, in March. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the slots are filled. My high recommendation to anybody who is interested in auditioning for the Faith Conservatory for the next school year, the 2015-2016 school year, is to contact Emily Ball, the Dean of Fine Arts, and you can do so by visiting the Faith website, faithlutheranlv.org, and then she'll get you information as to how you can schedule that appointment, and the auditions are in late March.
If you've got a kid in your house, in your family, they want to be in a band or they want to be an actress, do movies. If they have a performing kind of a bent, maybe it's something that their parents should think about looking into.
First things first, get them on a reality show. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Never do that. Bad news. Bad news. I'm joking, of course. I think everybody has that little fiber inside them that has that creativity just wanting to come out. If your son or daughter doodles in class and can't focus on their math assignment or something, there's some sort of creative outlet. There's a door that needs to be opened within them to allow that to come forward. I think Las Vegas in general has wonderful opportunities to provide avenues for them to explore, whether it's taking a dance class or taking private voice lessons or enrolling in an art class or maybe making pottery at one of those pottery places. Just explore a little bit and see if that's something that you're interested in. If they watch TV or watch movies and they're just really into it, there's a whole world of technical art out there. And this city is the perfect place to thrive and bloom with that after high school. So get them enrolled in something, see if they're interested. And then, if so happens that they're interested in that at a greater level, now we have the means by which to springboard them into the next part of their lives.
If you happen to have a kid who seems to be talented or interested, maybe you want to look into it. There's a lot more to the school.
There's tons of clubs. We have rock climbing clubs. We have cupcake wars. We have paintball teams. We have everything for kids. And as you know, and I know, as we reflect back on our high school experiences, it's kind of that 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock time frame that is most meaningful. And now the nation's best colleges, frankly, are demanding that you did something from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. They're not looking for just ACT, SAT, and GPA any longer. They're now asking that third component, what did you do to make your school a better place, or your community, or your church? And they don't want kids that just went home and studied from 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock. They want kids who enhanced their school through the arts or through athletics or through volunteer or through clubs or student leadership. And so it's one thing about Faith for our middle school kids and our high school kids is just the plethora of opportunities to make a difference at their school, after school, every single day. And we're blessed to work with some amazing kids from amazing families. And Eric and I just giggle driving to work every day that we get to serve there.
That's so true.
Faith Lutheran Middle School and High School, the Conservatory of the Fine Arts, talking about a lot of the programs and the attitude and the approach and the success of the school. And we're so lucky to have as our guest this morning Dr. Steve Buch. And we also have Eric Ball, who is the Director of Theatrical Arts. Thank you so much for joining us today on Talking
It's our
Solutions.
pleasure.
You're a rock star. Thanks for having us.
No, you're the rock star. I'm here to salute you. We've got an education theme going on today's Talking Solutions. I'm Terry Springs. Coming up after the break, would it surprise you to know that Las Vegas is a great destination for learning for international students? Melissa Smith's coming in with Forte International. Then we've got Christina Aldan and Melissa Skipworth to talk about the Women in Technology Awards and Girls in Tech. Hope you can stay with us on Talking Solutions.